Hello, I'm Jane Dentinger, Editor-in-Chief of the Mystery Guild. It's Book Expo Week in New York City, and I am thrilled to have one of our favorite authors with us here today, Karin Slaughter, talking about her new book, Fallen. Karin, thank you so much for being here. I'm sure you're aware that there are a lot of thrillers out there with plot lines involving children in jeopardy. We even have an abbreviation for it. We call it Kid Jep. But in Fallen, Faith Mitchell comes home to find that her mother has been taken. And I was really struck by that. I said, parent jeopardy, a new genre.
That's right. I should trademark it under the Slaughter brand.
Yeah, absolutely. Was there a because it is a seminal moment in your life when you realize your parents are no longer taking care of you, you're taking care of them. Did any of that go into your choices in doing this kind of plot line?
Actually, I wish I could say I was that thoughtful about it, but I really just came up with this story after spending time with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. They went on a training exercise where they pretended that there was a school shooter, and each agent had to go through this training exercise and find the shooter. This is all the sort of thing that cops do all the time when they're practicing for the worst case scenario. And following them through just gave me such an adrenaline rush, and I thought, I want to do this. So I wrote about Faith Mitchell coming home, and she realizes something really awful has happened and has to go in and find out what happened in her house.
The relationships in your books are so rich and textured, and they add such wonderful weight there. Have you ever been in a situation where, though, that you had sort of planned for two characters to do something and then they just won't cooperate with you?
Definitely. If it doesn't feel right or organic, it just can't happen. And I think the reader can sense when you're not 100% into it. And I want my readers to know that I am totally committed to these characters, and not just for one book, but for the long term. And that's really the pleasure of writing a series. Because if you can't have characters do something in this book, then maybe down the road you can. And I really enjoy doing that. And, coming from the South, being raised by a family of storytellers, I'm so invested in not just what the character is doing now, but what happened in their past. And I think that comes from when I was a kid, and my grandma would take me to her church, and she'd introduce me to all her friends and say, well, this is Mrs. So-and-so. And as soon as the woman turned her back, she'd say, well, she's a drinker. Or her husband's cheating on her. There's always some background, some deep, dark secret to these people.
On your website, somebody at one point asked you if you had a favorite character, and you said, no, it's like parents, you love them all the same. And then you also mentioned that Lena Adams was the most challenging for you to write. Why is that?
She just gets into trouble a lot, and she's the sort of character that a little bit goes a long way. So my tendency would be to write about her all the time and just have all these awful things happen to her that she has to dig herself out of. And a lot of people root for her despite the fact they know that she's going to make really bad decisions for herself. But she is a challenge because she doesn't really make the choices I would make. Maybe she makes the ones I made when I was in my 20s, and now that I'm in my later 20s, I still think I've learned a bit from that experience. But Lena continues to make mistakes. But with each mistake, I think that she takes a little step further toward being a whole person. And that's fun to write about. But again, a little bit of her goes a long way.
You've said that it's very important in your books to show violence for what it really is. Do you have the same concern about showing injury for what it really is? In other words, victims recovering from the aftermath of violence? Especially
with some of my characters who are victims. I do something that not a lot of people do, which is I let my victims survive sometimes. And it's really more difficult to write about them because they do have injuries, things have happened to them. Lena Adams, for instance, had something really horrific happen to her in the first book, and in the second book, she's talking about the fallout from that. It also gives me the ability to talk about the state of the medical system in America and how cops have to really struggle to get good health care. So I really do enjoy writing about all of it, warts and all, because to me that's far more interesting than jumping into a car and chasing a bad guy. Not being able to chase the bad guy, for instance, and the bad guy gets away. That to me is a more interesting plot point.
Do you think your last name played any part in your destiny to become a mystery writer?
Well, it must have. I tried to write a romance once, but everyone died. And so I thought maybe I should try to focus that energy into something that would be more marketable.
If you're going to kill them anyway.
Exactly, exactly.
Thank you so much for being here, Karin. It was a real pleasure. And I hope all our members enjoy this interview with Karin Slaughter talking about her new book, Fallen.
Hi, I'm Karin Slaughter, author of Fallen, and you can find my books at the Mystery Guild.